My name is Alistair Lee, and in this video, I'm going to walk through the process of editing the responsive event templates in Adobe Connect. You'll find your event templates under the Events section in Adobe Connect, and you've got access both to event templates as well as email templates. All events use templates to create the microsite that's used for promoting your event and registering unknown users. All of the emails that are sent by the Events module are also based on templates that you'll find under the Email Templates section here. If you're a new customer, after Adobe Connect 12.4, you'll see a single out-of-the-box template called the Default Template Responsive. If you were a customer prior to Adobe Connect 12.4, you may see some additional templates. I see the old non-responsive templates still on my account and available to use, the default template and the default template simple. If you want to adjust your account so that you're only seeing the new responsive templates, you can do that as an event administrator. Go up to Event Administration and then Catalog and Templates, and select the option to only show enhanced event and email templates when creating new events. Here's where you can also choose to use the new event catalog introduced in Adobe Connect 12.4 if you haven't moved over to that yet. I'm going to take a look at a new account though, which only has a single default template responsive. Instead of editing the default template, I'm instead going to first create a copy, and I can do that by clicking on the icon here, choosing to create a copy. We'll first select a base template that our copy will be based on, and here there's only one option, and I'll call this webinar template. Now I'm an event administrator, not an event manager, so I can only create a shared template. This will give everybody access to the template. If I was an event manager, I could create a personal template that only I would have access to. So the options that you'll have here will be based on the role that you have in Adobe Connect. Event managers can only create templates for themselves. Event administrators can create templates that everybody on the account can access. I'll go ahead and hit the copy button here, and that has created a new template that I can see over here in the side panel. When I select this, I see a preview of what it will look like. Now there's some placeholder information. A lot of the content that will be populated into the template will come from setting up my event. So let's take a look at editing this. I'm going to click on the pencil icon, and that opens the template up into an editor. Now let's take a quick look at the interface here before we get into the details. Up in the top right-hand corner, there are two modes to view the template. By default, you'll be launched into edit mode, and that means you can select all of the content, and you'll see some icons above the selection that you make. In other words, you can edit what the template looks like. If you want to see what it will look like after it's completed, you can click on the preview mode. This will launch it in your browser. This can be combined with the icon over here that shows me the emulator based on the size of the device I'm using. Right now, we're looking at the template as it would appear on a desktop, but if I want to see it as a tablet or a phone, I'm able to switch the views to see how it responds to a smaller screen size. I can also flip the view to rotate my device, or at least view what the template would look like on a rotated phone in this case. I can switch back to desktop here. And in fact, I'm going to go back into edit mode. Before we start editing this, there are a couple of other icons here at the top that you should be familiar with. The first one here is the page information icon. This is important because before you can use your template, you'll have to publish it so that it is made available. And this includes editing your template. Any changes that you make will not take effect until you publish your template. You can view the current version as published by clicking the View as Published option here. And finally, the most important icon is the icon to open up the sidebar. This is what shows us all of the different components that are available for us to edit the template. Now again, A lot of this is coming from Adobe Connect. For example, the event banner will come from the event banner that was uploaded as you were creating your event. Same with your speaker name and information, your speaker image, all of the event registration form questions, and all of the detail. So all of these are components that we can drag from the left-hand side over to the right-hand side in our event editor. Now, this is a pretty long list here, and if I want to filter it by the type of component, there are two main types. I can just see the Adobe Connect components. This will show me everything coming from the event information that I create as I'm creating my event. Things like my event imagery, the event form, the description, my speaker information, the start and end time are all here under the Adobe Connect section. Then if I choose General, this shows me all of the general kind of web development type of components. Things like text objects and images, as well as tabs and titles and buttons are available here for me to customize what this template will look like. I can select the content in a couple of different ways. Simply by hovering over the content, I can single click it to bring up a menu that enables me to edit the content. So if I click on Configure here, this brings up some properties that I can define, things like the font that's being used, the font color and size, along with some other font properties. You'll notice here I can't edit the text, and that's because this isn't a text component, even though it looks like text. This is the event information detail. So this always comes from Adobe Connect. If you wanted to add your own text, keep in mind that every event that uses this template will include the text that you add, but that's certainly possible. I could click on the object here and choose to delete it, and I'll confirm that I do want to delete it, and then I could drag over my own text object, again, simply by dragging and dropping and placing that on my template. And now, when I choose to configure this object, I've also got another option to edit it. That will open up an editor that enables me to type in real time. Here I've also got some access to rich text editing options. I can set the alignment, I can add bullets or numbers, I can choose my paragraph indentation, add links, along with some other text-based options. I'll click on the check mark to accept that, and you'll notice the style now changes to work with whatever has been configured. And again, if I click the configure button, I've got access to some of those same font properties that I had before. If I click on the properties button here, I can see the text, and this is another opportunity for me to edit the text. And here I've got a few more icons, and more importantly, I've got the ability to go into full screen mode. So this enables me to really focus on the content that I'm creating for my text object. I'm going to click cancel here, and we'll just stick with this. The other way to select the items in your template is to use this content tree that's available over here on my sidebar. So we can switch between the components and the content tree, and this content tree shows me the structure of my event template, including all of the content. So if I wanted to choose, for example, the speaker image, I could select it over here on the content tree, and I get that same menu. That can be an easy way to find the content that you're looking for, especially if you want to edit it. Again, this, in this case, is a speaker image coming from Adobe Connect, but if I wanted to hard code the speaker image into my template, maybe I wanted to create a template with multiple speakers, I could do that by going over to my components. I'm going to filter this based on general and choosing to drag and drop my own image in its place or below. So those are the basics in terms of creating and editing your own event templates. Once you're happy with what you've created, again, it needs to be published before it will be available to users on the account. If you want to see what it will look like prior to that, use the preview mode to launch into preview. And again, you can choose between tablet, desktop, and phone for these previews. I'm happy with the way this looks. I'm going to hit Publish Page. And now if I create a new event on this account, let me just go back to my account here and choose the Events module. We'll create a new event. And under Event Templates, in addition to the default template responsive, I now have this new shared webinar template that I'm able to use. That's a quick look at creating and editing event templates in Adobe Connect. Thanks for your time.